Hey everyone, this week we've got top 10 villains. Have a look at the list and tell us what you liked or didn't like by jumping onto our Facebook page and letting us know, or you can join the conversation on Twitter. This is a list compiled of the most evil and horrible and most despicable villains in video games. Have a look and hope you enjoy. At number 10 is Arcturus Mengsk. First appearing in StarCraft 1 as the rebel leader of the Sons of Korhol, he appears to be a guy who wants to throw out the oppressive Confederacy to bring about a democracy. Instead, he creates the Terran Dominion and declares himself Emperor, abandoning his allies and using his newfound power to secure his dominance.
This interview is over.
At number 9 is Haytham Kenway from Assassin's Creed 3. Haytham turned away from the Assassin Order and joined the Templars at a young age. He is by far the most human of villains and only reveals his true allegiance to the player later on in the game.
Are a Templar. May the Father of Understanding guide us.
At number 8 is Vars from Far Cry 3. Vars is a pirate who rules the Rook Islands. His hobbies include torture, murder, public speaking, and long walks on the beach.
To change. That is crazy. But the first time somebody told me that, I don't know, I thought they were me, so...
At number 7 is Psycho Mantis. Psycho Mantis was a unique villain in that he had the ability to read your PlayStation 1 memory card and could make your controller move along the floor with its vibration. The only way to defeat him was to plug your controller into the second controller port, as he could detect the first one and counter every one of your moves.
I can read your every thought.
At number 6 is Frank Fontaine from Bioshock. Frank disguises himself as Atlas, an Irish resident of Rapture who wants to help you escape the horrors of the underwater city, all the while manipulating you into accomplishing nefarious deeds that help him take over.
I know what is!
At number 5 is the Elusive Man. First appearing in Mass Effect 2, the Elusive Man doesn't think what he's doing is wrong. He believes that humans are the master race and should rule independently of the other species in the galaxy. To this end, he issues the help of Commander Shepard under the guise of teaming up to stop the Reapers, which threaten humanity as well as the rest of the galaxy.
Miranda killed.
At number 4 is Ganondorf. First appearing in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time in 1998, Ganondorf is the King of Thieves. His only aspiration is to conquer Hyrule no matter how many times he is defeated. As well as being a villain, he's also the perfect example of determination. At number 3 is Bowser. The King of the Koopas, he likes to kidnap Princess Peach and take over the Mushroom Kingdom, that is when he isn't setting trends in punk turtle fashion. Appearing in every Mario game ever made, he is the most successful and famous of the villains on the list. At number 2 is GLaDOS. In the first Portal game, she was merely a computer who followed her programming and tested the portal gun. Even if that meant killing a few hundred humans, she was more or less emotionless. However, death changes people, and in Portal 2 she embraces her psychotic tendencies and dedicates herself to trying to kill Chell in the most scientific way possible. Endless testing. And the number 1 villain is... Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. A super soldier gone rogue, Sephiroth is well known for his distinctive hairdo and insatiable hatred of humanity. He also wields a really cool, and really long, samurai sword. So that was top 10 villains. Guys, what did you think?
Frank Fontaine, I reckon, top notch. Not many people really consider Bioshock as one of those games to have such a big villain, but yeah, absolutely Frank Fontaine.
Frank Fontaine's so great because he's so manipulative. That's why I like him as villain. He's not the traditional, like, look at me, I'm big and muscly, like Bowser's sort of like that. Yeah. He's more of the silent manipulator type, and I reckon that's true evil.
I was thinking about your number 3 pick, Bowser, and it's really, like, you could pretty much change that with any of the fumbling idiots that, like, Nintendo games, like, have the villains, like King DDD or, like, something like that.
That's true, but none of those other villains have appeared in every single video game, like, that Mario's ever appeared in. Okay. That's the thing, it's a fact. Every single Mario video game ever made has Bowser in it somewhere, I think with the exception of Jumpman, which was the Donkey Kong game. Yeah. Which has Mario and Donkey Kong in it.
Alright, so now we've got Liam's review of Thomas Was Alone.
was alone. Wow, a weird first thought to have.
As described by itself, Thomas Was Alone is about 7 rectangles with very different relationships to gravity. The game, developed by British designer Mike Bithell, features a collection of 2D shapes jumping and falling their way through increasingly complex levels. They are given personality through exceptional narration from humorous Danny Wallace, and the tightly constructed levels and mechanics make Thomas Was Alone a joy to play. Thomas Was Alone is a masterclass in platformer level design. Stages are meticulously constructed around characters' jump heights and fall distances, but still allow for multiple approaches to each situation. You can trust the game, knowing it won't let you fail unfairly, or put you in a position in which you can't progress. Like Super Meat Boy, the simplicity of the mechanics allows for a direct line between your thoughts and the on-screen action, making navigating through the game's levels immediate and satisfying. Switching between characters usually works too, but can be fiddly, especially when you have 7 characters to cycle through. Using the keypad is slightly better, but positioned awkwardly in relationship to the rest of the control keys. With so few mechanics, Thomas Was Alone uses every element to its fullest extent. The camera glides over each of the levels as they begin, and always shows you exactly what you need to see at exactly the right time. The game also pushes its mechanics as far as they can go, with the smallest of interactions becoming central in later levels. Nothing becomes stale, however, as Bithell knows just how much of an element is enough before moving on to something new. The levels soon feel like something to be assembled. Like a jigsaw puzzle, you can see all the pieces, you just need to figure out how they fit together. New dynamics continue to form across the game's length, and peak in a series of levels that will have you platforming like never before, in a Portal-like wow moment. Everything is built on top of an established logic, and it's this philosophy that carries you through a game that goes on slightly longer than it should. New characters are introduced quite late into the game, and participate in a plot separate to the main one. It doesn't destroy the overall experience, but it does feel like a slightly unnecessary epilogue. The game isn't particularly difficult, but this is more due to a well-constructed pace and learning curve than a lack of challenge. Hints are provided by the game's narrator, which also injects the characters with personalities, hopes, dreams, and insecurities.
Classic death, she supposed. Wait, what? Claire couldn't shake the feeling that she was not, in fact, dead. It was at that moment that Claire realised she had superpowers.
This implied narrative is much more satisfying than the front-end plot of rogue AIs and computer networks, which may be inaccessible or at least less interesting to those unfamiliar with those kind of terms and ideas. The marriage of narration and mechanics creates a story of acceptance, where everyone has a place and everyone is useful. Themes of self-esteem, relationships, and body image also emerge, and just enough visual feedback, such as a slight squish when jumping, is given to make these rectangles more than just moving shapes. The backgrounds too are given just enough detail to remain interesting, without being distracting. Bithell gets as much out of his visuals as he does his mechanics, with every jump creating a charming play between light and shadow. David Housden's music score begins as haunting and lonely, but soon provides an aesthetic of wonder and joy, especially when new characters are introduced. A central theme also persists, and new elements like piano and drums arise to punctuate important moments. It's a fitting soundtrack and resonates in your mind as much as it does with the mechanics and visuals. As described by its creator, Thomas Was Alone is about friendship and jumping. The description is minimal, sure, but that's what the game is. It's about getting as much as you can out of what you have. Thomas Was Alone doesn't aspire to be anything other than what it is, and it doesn't need to be. It's a small game with a big heart, and it deserves to be played.
He was alone. Leaping from black square to black square didn't seem nearly as exciting now. It just seemed empty.